Tonight's experience begins in a quiet vineyard at sunset, where the hills are bathed in amber light and the vines sway gently in the evening breeze. From here, we'll journey past scattered farmsteads and winding country roads where lanterns begin to light the way until, as twilight deepens, we will reach Eldermoor City, where the Festival of Embers awaits us. Let your senses guide you. The night is waiting. The sun is low now, just above the hills, its light stretched thin and golden like warm honey poured across the land. It filters through the vineyard in long, dappled shafts, catching on the edges of the grape leaves, veins glowing like stained glass. The air is still, heavy with the scent of ripening fruit and sun-warmed earth, and every breath carries a trace of crushed thyme and the faint sweetness of fig trees nearby. As you walk between the rows, the soil beneath your feet is soft and dry, given slightly with each step, holding the warmth of the day as the dust rises gently, clinging to the hem of your linen. The vines brush against your arms, cooler in the shade where some of the grapes hang low, and when your fingers graze them, they are smooth and taut, the skin cool and firm, almost humming with the promise of harvest. The vineyard is quiet now, but not completely still, as between the rows of vines, the last of the workers move with slow and practiced grace. Their hands are stained with juice and dust. Their sleeves are rolled high as their boots press softly into the warm soil. You hear the gentle clink of shears being folded, the rustle of baskets being stacked, and the low murmur of voices. The rhythm is calm and unhurried, as if the land itself is winding down. One man lifts a cluster of grapes to the light, turning it slowly in his hand, inspecting it with quiet pride, because these are the wines of Eldermoor, known across the kingdoms for their richness and depth. Merchants speak of them in admirable tones at distant ports, and nobles request them by name. There is reverence in the way the workers handle the fruit, as a breeze stirs the vines, and with it comes the earthy perfume of the land itself. As the workers begin to gather their tools, a soft laugh rises from the far end of the field, and someone hums a tune, low and familiar, the sound drifting on the breeze like a lullaby for the land. The sun slips lower still, and the vineyard glows in amber light, a living canvas of labor, pride, and quiet beauty. The breeze carries you gently from the vineyard, up the sloping path toward the manor house, the building rising from the hillside like a memory carved in stone. The windows are tall and narrow, their glass slightly warped, reflecting the sky in rippling amber, with ivy clinging to the southern face, its leaves rustling softly, catching the golden glow as the sun dips ever lower. As you near the entrance, the first lanterns are being lit as the housekeeper moves carefully from post to post, lifting a taper to each glass globe, and the flames flicker to life, one by one, casting soft halos of light that dance across the stone. The glow is warm and golden, like the breath of the house itself, welcoming the night. Tonight is the Festival of Emberlight, celebrated across the kingdom of Eldermoor, marking the turning of the season, when the last of summer's warmth is gathered and shared before the long descent into autumn. Fires are lit in every village and city, from mountaintop shrines to seaside hearths, and people dress in playful costumes, some as woodland spirits, others as creatures of folklore or figures from old tales. Children wear crowns of dried flowers and painted masks. Musicians fill the streets, and dancers weave between the flames, their shadows stretching long and wild. The festival is a celebration of light, of stories, of the joy found in gathering together, and it is said that on this night the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin, and laughter keeps the old spirits at bay. In Eldermoor City, the streets will soon be alive with music and firelight, and the scent of roasted chestnuts and spiced wine will drift through the air, beckoning us toward it. Apples hang heavy in the nearby orchard, their scent mingling with the sweetness of honeysuckle and the sharper edge of marigold, because the season is turning and a few early leaves have begun to fall, dry and curled, gathering in quiet corners of the courtyard, next to sunflowers who bow their golden heads toward the last of the light. The path leaves the manor behind, winding gently down through the vineyard's edge and into the open countryside, following a narrow track worn smooth by generations of footsteps and cartwheels, its surface a blend of packed earth and scattered stones, still warm from the day's sun. Grasses grow tall along its borders, brushing against your legs as you pass, their seed heads catching the light like threads of gold. The air is cooler here, touched by the breath of the hills, carrying the scent of hay and distant wood smoke, and mingled with the sweetness of clover and the faint tang of sheep's wool. Crickets sing from the hedgerows, their rhythm steady and low, while the occasional flutter of wings marks the passage of a bird darting from branch to branch. To your left, a low stone wall runs alongside the path, its surface mottled with lichen and moss, while beyond it, fields stretch wide and open, dotted with hay bales and the slow movement of grazing cattle. To your right, the land dips into a shallow hollow where a stream glimmers between reeds, its voice soft and constant, like a whisper beneath the hush of evening. The farmsteads appear gradually, each one nestled into the folds of the land, with thatched roofs and timber beams, and smoke curling from chimneys, the glow of lanterns beginning to bloom in windows. A child's laughter echoes faintly from a garden, and somewhere nearby a dog barks once, then falls quiet. The path continues, winding between these quiet homes, connecting them like beads on a thread, along a road of familiarity and rhythm, of shared harvests and old stories, of footsteps that know where they are going even when the light begins to fade. The hush of the countryside is gently broken by the distant creak of wheels and the soft, rhythmic clop of hooves on the packed earth. A group of traveling musicians and entertainers approaches along the winding path, their carriages swaying slightly with each turn as their horses snort and toss their manes, their harnesses jingling with the faint chime of brass buckles and worn leather straps. Laughter rises from the first carriage, warm and unrestrained as someone strums a lute, the notes loose and playful, tumbling into the evening air like falling petals, and a tambourine jingles in time, its rhythm uneven but joyful. The scent of spiced wine drifts behind them, mingling with the dust kicked up by the wheels and the faint perfume of crushed clover beneath the horses' hooves. The carriages are painted in faded colors of deep reds, forest greens, and sun-washed golds, each one adorned with ribbons, lanterns, and scraps of fabric that flutter in the breeze. A woman leans from the window of the second cart, her cheeks flushed, a painted mask resting in her lap, humming a tune under her breath, her voice low and lilting, barely louder than the wind. Their voices fade slowly as they continue down the path toward the distant glow of Eldermoor City, their music lingering a moment longer echoing faintly between the hedgerows, before the quiet of the countryside returns, like a breath drawn in and held. The path rises gently, curving along the ridge until it opens onto a quiet overlook, where the land falls away in soft folds, and beyond them, Eldermoor City stretches out like a tapestry of stone and light. The city walls are tall and time-worn and catch the last of the sun's glow, their edges gilded in amber, with lanterns flickering along the battlements, each one a tiny flame against the deepening blue. The sky is a slow-burning canvas that glows with molten gold and rose, fading upward into lavender, then indigo, with wisps of cloud drifting like brushstrokes, catching the light in soft pinks and copper as the first stars begin to appear, faint and blinking as if testing the air. Below, the city stirs with life, the grand gates open, and people arriving in small groups, their laughter rising faintly on the breeze as costumes bloom in every direction, a collection of bright silks, painted masks, cloaks stitched with bells and feathers, some wearing antlers crowned with ivy, while others trail ribbons from their sleeves. Children dart between the crowds, their faces painted with foxes, owls, and old spirits from stories whispered by firelight. The streets are beginning to glow, as lanterns now hang from every arch and balcony, their light warm and golden, swaying gently in the evening air. In the distance, music begins to rise, with the sound of pipes and drums, a fiddle's quick rhythm, and the low thrum of a gathering crowd as the city pulses with anticipation. As you descend the final curve of the path, the city gates rise before you, tall and ancient, their stone worn smooth by centuries of passage. Carved into the archway are symbols from a time before memory, of spirals, stars, and curling vines that seem to shimmer faintly in the lantern light. The air changes as you approach, growing warmer, touched by the breath of firelight and the scent of spice and smoke, and a quiet hush that seems to fall as you pass through the gates, a kind of reverence, as if the city is drawing you in with quiet ceremony. The flicker of lanterns reflects in your eyes, and for a moment the world feels suspended as you are caught between the last breath of twilight and the first heartbeat of celebration. Just beyond the threshold, the cobbled streets glow with golden light, and music drifts toward you, soft and inviting. A child in a fox mask runs past, trailing ribbons that catch the air like fireflies, and a woman in a gown of layered silk turns to smile, her face painted with curling vines and stars that echo the carvings above. Crossing into Eldermoor feels like stepping into a story, as the city welcomes you not with fanfare, but with wonder, as every light, every costume, every scent and sound is an invitation to let go of the ordinary and step fully into the night. The main thoroughfare of Eldermoor City unfolds like a living ribbon of color and sound, with colorful lanterns swaying overhead, strung between buildings in long, looping arcs, their light catching on streamers and bunting that flutter with every passing breeze. The air is thick with warmth and movement, alive with the scent of roasted almonds, honeyed pastries, and the sharp tang of citrus wine poured from tall glass flasks. Jugglers spin through the crowd, their pins flashing silver and red, the soft thud of catches punctuated by bursts of applause, and a troupe of musicians play from a raised wooden cart, the fiddle sharp and bright, the drum a steady heartbeat beneath it. Laughter rises in waves, mingling with the clink of mugs and the low hum of conversation that spills from open tavern doors. People lean from balconies above, their faces painted, their arms draped in ribbons, some tossing petals into the street, others waving silk fans or lanterns shaped like birds and stars. The buildings themselves seemed to glow, their stone facades bathed in firelight, their windows flickering with candlelit silhouettes. Vendors call out in melodic voices, offering spiced nuts wrapped in parchment, skewers of grilled meat sizzling over open flames, and chilled fruit drinks that fizz softly in the glass. The sound of a wooden spoon tapping the side of a copper pot blends with the hiss of oil and the soft crunch of pastry being bitten into. Everywhere there is motion, texture, scent, and sound, as Eldermoor is a city not just celebrating, but breathing in rhythm with the night. The main thoroughfare fades behind you, its music and laughter softening into a distant hum as you slip into a narrow side alley where the lanterns hang lower and the cobblestones are older. The air here is cooler, touched by the scent of damp stone and old wood, and the sounds are gentler and more intimate. A small square opens ahead, tucked between leaning buildings with ivy-covered walls and shuttered windows. In one corner, a puppet show is underway. The stage is no larger than a trunk, its curtains faded velvet, the puppets moving with delicate precision, their wooden joints clicking softly as they dance and bow. A child giggles, their breath catching with each twist of the story, with the puppeteer's voice low and melodic, rising and falling like a lullaby. Just beyond the fountain, a couple stands close, speaking in low voices, their laughter soft and private, as one reaches to tuck a curl behind the other's ear, and their hands linger, the lantern light catching in their eyes, and for a moment the world seems to pause around them. The square holds its breath, wrapped in the hush of old stone, quiet music, and the warmth of something unspoken. Several guests dressed in velvet, their crowns askew, their laughter rich with wine and mischief, arrive like a vision from a forgotten painting. Their gilded sleeves trail behind them as they twirl through the square, their boots clapping softly against the cobblestones. One stumbles, then bows with exaggerated grace, drawing a round of applause from the puppet show's small audience, as another raises a goblet to the stars, spilling a little as she spins, her gown catching the lantern light in a shimmer of golden thread. You follow the group as they sweep through the quiet square, their voices echoing down a narrow passage that opens into a wide arched doorway from where music spills out from within. Lively strings, the thrum of a drum, the soft trill of a flute weaving between them. The moment you step through the threshold, the world changes as the scent of roasted meats and sweet herbs wrap around you, with honey-glazed root vegetables, the sharp tang of pickled plum, the buttery richness of fresh bread still steaming in its basket. Laughter rises from every corner, mingling with the clink of glasses and the soft scrape of chairs on wood. The dancers swirl into the room, their costumes brushing against tapestries and candlelit walls, as a man in a crown of dried lavender lifts a lute from a nearby table and begins to play, his fingers loose and joyful, charming a woman in a gown of deep green who leans against a pillar, sipping from a silver cup, her eyes half-lidded with contentment. The rooms pulse with warmth and story as every corner holds a moment of its own, a whispered joke, a shared glance, the soft sigh of someone leaning back into the music that feels like stepping into a dream stitched from memory and celebration. You step into a narrow stairwell, the stone cool beneath your fingers as you climb, each footfall muffled by worn steps and the distant hum of celebration below. At the top, a wooden door creaks open with a gentle sigh, and the night greets you. The rooftop unfolds in quiet wonder as the people lean against the low walls, their faces lit by the flicker of sparklers held in gloved hands, hissing gently, casting tiny sparks that drift and vanish. A tray passes by, the glasses clinking softly, the drinks warm and spiced with hints of clove and orange peel. Someone bites into a sugared pastry, the crust crackling, the filling rich with honey and fig, from which the scent lingers, mingling with the cool night air and the faint tang of iron from the fireworks above as one bursts above the city, creating a bloom of violet and gold that scatters like petals across the stars. Another follows, this one a deep crimson, followed by a cascade of silver threads that fall slowly like rain suspended in time. The lower rooftops below flicker with reflected light, and the city seems to hold its breath between each shimmering bloom. A hush falls as one particular firework explodes overhead, casting the rooftop in a sudden wash of blue, which causes your eyes to catch something strange. A patch of ivy near the far wall of the rooftop, shifting slightly though the breeze has stilled. You step closer and find, behind the leaves, a narrow wooden door set into the stone, nearly invisible in the shadows, its iron handle cool beneath your fingers and worn smooth with age. No one else seems to notice. You glance back once across the rooftop at the lanterns and laughter and the sky still blooming with fire and color, and then you pull the door open. It creaks softly, revealing a narrow stairwell that descends into the dark, lit only by the flicker of a single candle far below. The air smells of old stone and something older still, parchment, ash, and the faintest trace of lavender. The sounds of the festival fade behind you as you begin to descend, each step drawing you deeper into the hidden heart of Eldermoor. The stairs spiral downward, each step worn smooth by centuries of passage, the flickering light ahead casting shifting shadows against the walls, and the hush of voices murmuring below carries a weight that feels almost like a ritual. At the bottom, the chamber opens into a vaulted space, its ceiling ribbed with ancient beams, its walls lined with faded tapestries depicting battles and forgotten kings. A circle of figures stand in the center, cloaked in black, their masks gleaming in the candlelight. They do not move at first, only watching, their presence heavy, their silence almost unsettling. A hunched figure at the heart of the gathering stirs, his movements strange, his back twisted, his joints bent at odd angles. With a flourish, the hunched figure throws back his hood, revealing a face painted in brilliant colors of blue and gold, curling at the edges of his eyes, his cloak billowing as he straightens, revealing a tunic embroidered with stars and curling vines, his arms now raised in a moment of theater, and the silence shatters. The cloaked figures reveal themselves not as ominous watchers, but as families, parents, children, elders with knowing smiles, their masks not symbols of secrecy, but of tradition, each one painted with the sigils of old houses, the emblems of forgotten heroes. The storyteller spins tales of Eldermoor's past, of warriors who once walked these streets, of villains who plotted in the shadows, of lovers who met beneath the city's lantern glow. His words are alive, filling the chamber with the pulse of history, the breath of legend as the children lean forward, eyes wide, their fingers curled around the edges of their masks. You leave now, stepping into a quiet alley outside, leaving behind the warmth of the storyteller's chamber as the sounds of the festival soften, replaced by the gentle lapping of water against stone. A canal stretches beside you, dark and glassy, reflecting the flickering lanterns that line its edges as a single boat waits at the water's edge, its hull painted deep green, its prow curling like the tail of a serpent. The gondolier stands at the stern, his mask smooth and expressionless, catching the light in a soft shimmer. He nods once, then gestures for you to step aboard. The wood creaks beneath your weight, settling into the rhythm of the water, the air touched by the scent of damp stone and river reeds, mingled with the faint trace of candle wax and distant spice. The boat glides forward, the gondolier's pole dipping into the water with slow, deliberate strokes as the canal quickly narrows, curving beneath an arched bridge where ivy spills over the edges, its leaves brushing the surface like fingertips. A tunnel entrance looms ahead, framed by carved stones depicting the warden beasts of Eldermoor, guardians believed to watch over the city's oldest thresholds, the stag for vigilance, the owl for wisdom, the dragon for memory. Local legend holds that when Eldermoor is in peril, their spirits will stir in the hidden tunnels and shield the city's heart. The lanterns beside the statues flicker as you pass beneath the carvings, their light stretching long across the rippling water. Inside the tunnel, the world changes, the echoes now soft, the sound of water shifting beneath the boat like whispered conversation. The walls are lined with old carvings of symbols of houses long forgotten, sigils of merchants who once ruled these waters, the air thick with history, with the quiet breath of the city's past. Then, as the tunnel opens again, glimpses of the festival return. A balcony above, draped in silk, where masked figures lean over the railing, laughing, their voices spilling into the night, and a musician who plays from a dockside platform, his lute's melody curling through the air like smoke, while a group of dancers twirl along the canal's edge, their skirts catching the lantern light in flashes of crimson and gold. The canal widens, and the gondola drifts into an open stretch of water nestled within the city's heart, a place where the buildings lean back, their facades softened by distance, a place where other boats gather in quiet clusters, their passengers murmuring in hushed tones, their hands lifting delicate paper lanterns into the air. The first lantern rises, its glow soft and golden, drifting upward like a whispered wish, followed by another and another, until the sky begins to bloom with light and color. The lanterns float higher, their shapes shifting, some round like moons, others shaped like birds or flowers, their edges curling in the breeze, the air thick with warmth, touched by the scent of wax and faint traces of incense. The gondolier moves slowly, guiding the boat through the water's gentle ripples, the surface reflecting the lanterns like a second sky, each flicker mirrored in perfect stillness as you glide toward the shore until you brush softly against the wooden dock. The masked gondolier nods once as you step off onto the stone path beside the water. It is a path you follow that curves away from the water and through a low arch of flowering vines, revealing manicured hedges that trace gentle spirals through the lawn, navigated by gravel paths that wind between beds of moonlit lilies, pale foxglove, and tall, whispering grasses. The trees are carefully chosen, including silver birch, copper beech, and weeping willows, each one lit from beneath to cast soft shadows across the trimmed lawns. Stone statues stand at intervals, half shrouded in ivy or framed by climbing roses. You see a lioness mid-prowl, a stag with a crown of laurels, and a pair of dancers frozen in marble, their hands almost touching. Guests stroll slowly between them, arms linked, their movements graceful, their voices low, pausing to admire a rare orchid in bloom, and sipping from delicate glasses of elderflower cordial or spiced wine, the taste bright and floral on the tongue. Somewhere nearby, a harp plays with soft, deliberate notes that seem to echo off the statues and settle gently into the leaves. Beneath a towering oak stands the poet, her presence commanding yet effortless, wearing robes of deep blue, embroidered with silver thread that catches the lantern's glow like scattered stars, with a sash of midnight velvet tied at her waist. She holds a parchment in one hand, the edges curling slightly, and as she begins to speak, the growing crowds hush, drawn into the rhythm of her voice. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow-laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. As the final words settle into the hush, she pauses and then begins again, this time softer, as if the poem itself is retreating into memory. The lanterns around her flicker, the voices of the guests growing quieter as each repetition is spoken gentler than the last, until her voice is barely more than a whisper, carried away on the breeze. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow-laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow-laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth. Summer hums in golden light, lanterns sway in evening's breath, ripened fruit and laughter bright, the city sings untouched by death. Autumn whispers crisp and low, leaves drift soft on cobbled stone, candles flicker, embers glow, the harvest fades, the wind has grown. Winter hushes, silver bound, snow laced fine on rooftops tall, footsteps lost where frost is found, the hush of night, the hush of all. Spring awakens, soft and wide, blossoms press through thawing earth, rivers pulse and morning's tide. The world exhales, reborn in mirth.